MSTY is respecting the support. I want to go over what it looks like now, where it's at, and also wanted to do an update and a correction change on my spreadsheet for MSTY. Hello, my friends. This is Legend. Today is Friday, February the 28th, after hours, but MSTY had a nice little move today, and I wanted to show you what that looked like. So let's jump over on the Webull chart. So here we are on the Webull chart. I'm showing MSTY currently on the screen, and I had that support line right here where it had bounced off of it. That was around September of 2024. So let's zoom right in here and let's find out what today did. Now yesterday I did a video and it was coming down and it was sitting right there on that support, right? And that support is $18.94. As you can see, we did ever so slightly stick a little wick past it, but it did bounce off of it, right? That support line is being respected in that sense. It did decide to go back up, and right now it is sitting at that $20.11. So we are back off of that. Now it did the same thing here, so that doesn't mean that it's going to continue moving up. I hope it does. I hope it stays and it keeps respecting this line. It can, poke through it, but what we don't want is necessarily for it to close under. And if it does, then we definitely don't want a whole candle to open and close under that support line. If it pokes back through it, then it's not necessarily confirmed as being broken, that support. So if it continues to be above it and closes above it, that's a good sign for now. But the market has been pretty tricky lately. We had a good day and then we'd have 2 or 3 bad days. So with that being said, be very cautious in the market currently. It could be perfect buy times with everything low. But that has to be your decision, and you've got to really think it out for yourself. We never know where the bottom is. We could be getting a little bit of a dead cat bounce, right? Where it kind of goes up and it goes down, bounces off of it, goes up, and then falls right on through. And that could happen. But so far, we are respecting that support. So that's a good sign. I'm happy to see that. Like I said, we're back at the $20.11. So I was very happy to see that early morning. When it first opened, it did drop down. And we can look at the 5-minute chart just to show you how crazy it was this morning. So let's just zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole chart and just shrink it down some. All right. So as you can see here, when the market opened, it opened pretty much close to that support line. Now, after hours, I don't really consider that as anything because it can be low volume. So any kind of buy, sell, whatever can move the market a good bit. So that's not really, in my mind, not a true move. Because you can see this, it actually went down to $18.20. But that's after hours. So again, I don't consider that being anything real. Now, once it did open, you can see it dropped as low as $18.55. Then it decided to move on back up. So if you had a crystal ball, you could have went ahead and bought some shares at that $18.55 and rode that thing back up to $20, right? But my crystal ball broke the other day, so I'm out of luck on that deal. But I do like the fact that we are bouncing off of that support line. That to me is a good sign. So what did I do today? That's the big question. Well, let's move over to my chart and I want to show you what I did. And I also want to show you a correction. There was one mistake I had on my chart and I wanted to bring it up to you and show you what that mistake was. And see what that did to my overall numbers. Okay, so here we are on my spreadsheet, and this is the same one we had yesterday that I showed. I believe it was yesterday when I did the video on this one, where I had purchased those additional 7 shares at $19.50. Now, the correction that I need to make was a video or two back, I was showing where I had sold that put, right? I sold that put and earned that $200. And in that video, I was also just playing with the numbers, saying, well, what if I get assigned that put at $24? What would that do to my numbers? So I entered that value right here. I entered that value of $24, 100 shares, because if that put got assigned, that is what I would have had to purchase those shares at. So I was putting it in to see what my new average price would be and to show that it would still be under the current price. But I did not purchase those shares because that put did not get assigned. Again, my apologies for putting that in there, and I did not correct it or erase it at the end of that video, and it got carried over. How I was able to catch it was I was looking at my number of shares, and I was going through and cleaning things up, and I noticed in my Webull account I have 383, but this sheet was showing 483. So let me go ahead and correct that, and we will see what that changes on the numbers here. First of all, I'll just go ahead and I will turn on the premium so that it will be what it was at the end of the last video, that $12.98, right? That was my adjusted price. Now, so let's go ahead and correct that. So I'm going to just delete this here right on off. And what I can do here is I will just move it right here. So all I did was delete that 100 shares at $24, and all I did was move those 7 shares up one line, right? So those 7 shares at $19.50 was what I purchased yesterday, and then I updated that sheet accordingly, but I did not remove those 100 shares. So now I have removed those 100 shares, and let's see what my new averages are. So my purchase price share average is $25.31. I have a capital invested $9,693.63. So this is making a big difference. Before I had I think it was 12,000 something because it was showing those 100 shares. The distribution that I have earned is $5,500. The premium that I have earned at that time was $304.70. The adjusted capital invested, which is basically the amount that I've earned out subtracted from that capital, means I have $3,871.44 still at risk. That gives me an adjusted price per share of $10.11. So I have earned back 60% of my capital through distributions. So that's looking a whole lot better. So I'm happy about that. I'm glad I caught that. I'm sorry I didn't catch it before the last video, but I wanted to show you and correct it here on the channel. So what did I do today? Well, I did make a move today. I did end up rolling this $23.50 put. It was going to expire March the 14th. So that's roughly about 14 to 15 days from now. But I did end up rolling that one, and I rolled it from $23.50 down to $23 even. Okay, so I did that today, and today's date being 2/28/2025, and the expiration date. So it was, as you can see right here, March the 14th. So I rolled it down in price and out in expiration. So I've moved it from 3/14 and I moved it out to 4/17. So April the 17th, 2025. So I rolled it out 1 month. So my new description would be the $23.50 to $23 roll put. And I had 1 contract. So originally I had $23.50. Now it's down to $23 even. Okay. So of course by doing so, I will earn a premium for doing that. So for doing that, I will earn 90 cents times 100 shares, which is $90. So I will earn the 90 bucks for that. Now, just to be fair here and to be honest, let's do the $90, but I did have to pay a transaction fee of 15 cents. So that's 90 bucks minus the 15 cents. So there we go. That's the $89.85 is what is put into my account. So not too bad for a 1 month roll. Let's just see what that actually equates to. So we can easily find out what that actually means as far as the percentage I earned for the month by just simply going a little small quick equation right here saying equals the $90 is what I earned divided by how much is at risk, and that would be the $2,300, right? Because that's $23 times 100 shares and times how many contracts? I only have 1 contract. So that's $2,300 at risk. So I'm earning 90 bucks off of 2,300, and that's going to give me this 0.039. To turn that into a percentage, we can just simply take it times 100, and now you get 3.91%. So I'm earning a 3.9% on my money in just 1 month. That's pretty good, because you can take that, and then what is that annualized? Well, you can just take that number, take it times what? Well, if that's a month, there's 12 months in a year, so take it times 12. So that is a 39% that I earned annualized, that's estimated annualized on this trade. That could be roughly a 39% annualized. So that's pretty good money if you ask me. But I'll take that 3.9% for that trade every single day. So what did that do for me? Well, by punching that in, as you can see, it did change my premiums earned. It changed it to $394.55. It has lowered my capital that is still at risk. It is now down to about $3,700, close to $3,800. That lowered my adjusted price per share down to $9.87. That means this $9.87 is my break-even price. But the price of the stock is 20 bucks, right? So I am well into the good, and I have earned percentage back of almost 61%. Doing pretty good if you ask me. I don't mind it at all. I like where it's headed. And we've had some rough times in the market. But guys, look at this. I mean, I've been in it since the end of August 23rd to be exact, of last year. And I've already earned back 60% of my money that I had invested. So I definitely wanted to show you that I had made a mistake over here on this table. I still had that 100 shares that I was playing with on that one video, and just did not go back to erase that. So that was my fault on that one. But I was able to roll that put, earn 90 bucks, and that has lowered my cost. So I wanted to show you all of that. I'm very excited about MSTY, even at these prices. And as you can see, once again, we're sitting right there on that support line. And wanted to also just give you an idea. We had looked at VOO as well. And as you can see, that was that support line. That diagonal line here was a support, along with this was a support, right? Now, as I was saying earlier, what we don't want is it really to break and close under it. That's the first thing to look for. If it does that, then it's important about the next day. What happens then? When it opens up, it opened up down here, right? But what did it do? it poked its head up past those support lines. And since it opened and it closed up above it and it poked through it, we have not had a confirmed change in direction. Now, if it opens and closes under that support line, it has to open and close and not poke through at any point of that wick, then we've got a directional change. It is no longer at that point really following your trend line. It has changed. And that still could happen because we are right there on it. We don't have much room. We are still somewhat respecting it, even though it doesn't look like it, but we are still respecting it because all it's doing right now is testing it. It's testing those support lines. And that's okay, but we don't really want it to sit there too long, because if it sits there on that support line too long, just like on MSTY here, if that sits there too long on that support line, it's going to end up breaking through because it's going to either fall down or it's just going to skyrocket up because it's just getting compressed at that point. So we will see what happens on Monday. So I was very excited to see MSTY back up above that $20 range, even if it's just $20.11. So what do you think? Were you watching the market this morning? Did you see it drop down and just thought, oh boy, we're in for a wild ride today? I know I did when I first saw it. I thought, well, we're breaking down. But then it decided to come back up. It did not go down and stay down. So I was glad to see that. So if you don't mind, please like, subscribe, and share. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.